Right. Good evening, everyone. So yesterday example completed or anything pending? I think we have written flow of execution also, right? Okay. How many ways we can request servlet from the client? 3 ways. Directly from the URL by using servlet URL. Second, by using HTML form. And third way by using, try to recollect. Third way by using, third way by using hyperlink. Okay, third way by using hyperlink. With hyperlink also we can request. So what is the difference between button and hyperlink? Button has a button shape, hyperlink has a line. So background you have what you call hyperlink link will be there now. For that hyperlink also we have action tag. So action equal we have to set servlet tag. Okay, that we'll see later. Today I want to develop same program servlet with multiple requests to handle. Okay, one servlet should handle multiple requests. Okay, observe here. Now HTML file now opening. Now inside HTML file, I want to provide. Sorry. Okay, can you tell me how can we provide? One more button I want right here. Input type equal submit, name equal to sub. Okay, and value is sub. And one more button submit null and value equal to null. And one more button div and division. Okay, and one more button I want, right? Input type equal to reset, name equal to, okay, this button will not submit any value to the browser, so to the servlet. So name no need to write, value equal to clear. Okay, I want to clear the values in the text boxes. So this is the HTML page, and the name of this HTML page I want to save as arithmetic operations, AO.html. Okay, so these are the buttons are available now. Then now when you click on this open edit plus, when you click on any of these 4 buttons, request I want to send to the servlet AO subnet. URL pattern name is AO servlet. Online students, can you hear me? Okay. So there is a one culprit, there is a one useless idiot there who is disturbing the class every day. Up to yesterday, he joined with the class with the name Venkatesh sir name, and today he joined with my name. Okay, na? Last time he joined with Venkatesh sir batch with in his class only and sent to all the students saying that no class today. And all the students has felt that sir has sent message, they left the class. So please don't get be trapped by these worst fellows. Okay? Faculties never contact you personally, never send the message. So if anybody join with faculty names, not only my name, other faculty names, when they are interacting with you, don't get react. Okay, now remember this. Now web.xml, okay, webinf file open, web.xml file. In web.xml file, open with edit file. I want to take URL pattern name as AO servlet, and I am taking servlet class name as AO servlet. Arithmetic operation servlet. Save it. Web.xml file change are done. Then open classes folder. Right click, open with. Now servlet program you have to suggest me. Deleting this package not required. Right click, open with, edit plus. Now tell me, what are the classes required? Generic servlet, servlet request, servlet response, servlet exception, and addition servlet place what you are writing, AO servlet, extend generic servlet, service method, throws this one, request processing logic. Now tell me, this servlet service method is handling how many requests? Only one request or four requests? Four requests. Okay. From this HTML file, all requests are sending to whom now? AO servlet only. When you click on add also, request is going to addition servlet. When you click on sub also, request is going to AO servlet only. Mul also AO servlet, div also AO servlet. Clear, not going anywhere, just removing the data available in the text boxes. Then, now tell me, how the servlet knows that it has to execute addition logic or subtraction logic or multiplication logic? How it knows? Recollect yesterday class. You have answer from yesterday class. Yesterday class, open. Yesterday class, open. When you click on add button, what happened? When you click on add button, what happened? Flow of execution, follow the flow of execution diagram. When you click on add button, what happened? New URL is prepared. New URL prepared to call to servlet. Then following by what is added? What is attached? Query parameter is attached or not? Query string is attached with how many values? How many values? Two values. Sir. How many values? Come on, recollect. Two values or three values? Sir? Three values. What this? Addition servlet. What coming? Question mark. FNO equal to 10. Next, and SNO equal to 20. Next, and button also add equal to add. Totally how many values are passing? 3. Text field values plus which button you click, button name. And then the form all components are submitting to the servlet. Have written yesterday's check once, query parameter have written. Have we written yesterday only up to addition servlet or query parameter, query string also? Query string written or not written? Right. Continuation tested. The same URL. Yesterday, I hope we written up to here. When you click on add button, this URL is prepared. You can write in the middle. If you don't have space, you can write it down. There is no rule that you have to write here only. You can write down also. Completed? Now tell me, when you click on add button, what is the button name is sending to the servlet? Add. When you click on sub, can you know in the servlet what type of request is sent to the servlet? In the servlet, is there any way that you can know for which logic to execute request is sent to the service method? Yes or no? No. How? Come on, try to use your brain. What is the third parameter? Button name. Right? Now tell me. If I choose button names, different name, is it possible for me to verify? Here in the HTML file, tell me now. If I click on add button, what the name sending? Add equal to add. Inside servlet program, I have to read which button is clicked. Based on the button name, can I decide the request? For which request? What is the request made by the customer to execute on servlet here? What I can write here? Everyone tell me. Now I have to take here string request equal request or request type, whatever request name or request type or anything equal to what do you write now? Request dot get parameter of what I should pass here, the button name. Yes or no? Based on the button name, can I know the request type add or sub or null or div? Now tell me, if I take the button name here, first button name is add, second button name is sub, third button name is null, fourth button name is div. If I take like this, then is it easy for me to write this line executing for all four buttons commonly? No. So what I should write here? The parameter name must be same for all three buttons. Everyone understand? I should not here add sub null div. What I should write here? Can I take here button name, or you can take request type? So which one you want? Request type or button name? What do you want? Okay. In add servlet, and now what I am taking button name as what? Request type. Tell me. Now, based on the request type name, now I have to take decision which logic to execute. What logic I should write here? If request type dot, what the method? Equals ignore case method. Request dot equals ignore case of what I should pass? Double quotes add. If so, what logic I have to execute here? Add logic. Right? Can I take these two values also here? Because you want to read two values, those two values only you want to add or subtract or multiplicate, right? Now here what I write? Result I am taking outside. Int result equal to, okay, int result equal to 0. If result type dot equals of add, then what logic I have to write? Result equal to first number plus second number. Else, what is the next? Same if condition, else if result equals ignore case of sub. Then what logic I should write? Result equal to result FNO minus SN. So tell me now, with this knowledge, you have to come to a one conclusion. By using single servlet, can I process multiple requests? Yes. Multiple different requests? Yes. Then if you want to process different requests, then what should you do? For all the button request processing purpose, when you press on the submit button, the submit button, all names must be what? Same. Okay, that is the condition you should remember. And then first you have to bring that request button name, then following by the values, and then you have to use condition to verify which button is clicked. And then else if request dot equals ignore case of what? Mul, and then equals ignore case of div. Okay, if at all, if you got else, if not these four buttons, means if the control is not entered into any of these four options, then what you have to print now? Error message, right? Or else as of now, let leave it. Error message we'll see later. Save it. So this is the program you have to write. Everyone understand? What is the important point? When you wanted to process multiple requests, then you have to use the submit button name with the same name. That's it. So let's try to see now. Now this response generation logic, no difference. The result is then. So I have to compile this program. Open Web9f, then classes, then open command prompt. Open command prompt, clear screen, javac -d dot AO. Name I have not changed. Wide throwing error. Set class path equal to C:/ Apache / lib / sublet. Spelling mistake. Compile successfully. Then prepare var file cd dot dot jar hyphen cvf. What is the jar file name? Multiple requests. Multi requests. Let's say multi requests dot var star. Var file is created. Go back. Var file. Take it. Open Apache Tomcat. C drive. Apache. Web apps. Paste. Then come back. Bin folder. Start the server. Server started, start server, startup completed. Then open browser. Sorry, we have to access HTML file, na? Add dot, add data, avo.html. Okay, now this HTML file came from the server or our local project? From the server it came. Now I am entering here value sum 10 and giving value 20 and click on add. Result is coming 30. Next, now sub result is coming 10 minus 10, 20, 10 minus 20 minus 10. Then mul 200 div, okay, 0. 10 by 0, 0, right? And clear, results are clear. Understand a single servlet handling multiple requests. Now the question is, inside servlet program, you have developed servlet logica or you develop core Java logic? It is a core Java logic, simple core Java logic you developed. So tell me, finally, again, I'm concluding from the day beginning of advanced Java. Learning servlets is nothing but just you have to know 3 points. What is that? Point number 1, creating a class deriving from generic servlet class. Number 2, overriding service method. Number 3, preparing the response with these 2 lines. And number 4, setting the class path. Number 5, preparing the web.xml file. Number 6, preparing the var and deploying in the server. This is only the thing you have to learn in the servlet. Remaining whatever logic you are writing inside service method, that is called request processing logic. This request processing logic which you have already learned in your core Java. So the core Java if else conditions only you are writing, not more than that. Is it clear everyone? Right. So you want right now or will you copy from the Google? You want right? It takes time, man. Same code, na? No, only just extra this code and buttons only you have added, right? Can you copy from Google Classroom? I'll upload to Google Classroom. From there you can copy. All the people got clarity, na? Okay. Write down program number 3 or 4? 5? Let me update this. Just write question enough. Develop a servlet program to handle multiple requests. To handle multiple requests. For handling multiple requests, the submit all submit buttons names must be same and their value So leave one complete page for writing the program. Later, after going to home, you please write. Let me update the file. Just watch. Project folder structure. What the folder? 5. Multiple. Multiple requests. Now avo.html, avo servlet, avo servlet.class. And next web.xml file same. Deploy, develop HTML page. What is the HTML page? Let me copy paste. Again, after going to home, I may forget. Okay. Very important. Here, what you have written? Same button name. For all submit buttons, you have written same button name and values must be different. And then avo servlet class. avo servlet class is different code is there. Can you write here if else place switch block? If else if place, can you write switch block? Yes. Okay, we can also write switch block also. Okay. Here, this is a request processing logic and then response preparation logic, HTML page, percentage result is substituted here. Service method. And step number 4, save the class in web.xml file, compile, configure web.xml file. Web.xml file name is changed. Web enough, web.xml, open with edit plus, copy, paste. Then next, create var file. Var file should be 05 set path equal to jar -cvf multi request.var. Deploy var file in the Tomcat web folder. Start server. Don't access servlet. We must access avo.html page. Access avo.html page. Open browser. Run below URL. What is the URL? avo. Multi-request. Tell me. Then when I open multi-request, which button you have clicked, that button name will be submitted. With what name? Button name equal to n capital letter, I guess. Button name equal to add. Like this will do that. This is the servlet program story. I'll upload this program. Please try to copy yourself. And next, take it servlet config. We completed servlet, generic servlet, servlet request, servlet response, and now we are going for next interface, servlet config. Right, servlet config. Servlet config. S capital letter, C capital letter. Servlet config. So all people understand diagram here. This is my servlet program. The servlet program required inputs. There are 2 inputs are there. I have not explained servlet lifecycle states. There is a concept called servlet lifecycle states. After completing this topic, I'll explain. Tomorrow, I'll explain servlet lifecycle states. Okay. When you send a request from the browser, first request is receiving to whom now? Web server. Inside web server, request is given to whom now? Servlet container. Servlet container is going to web.xml file. In web.xml file, with the given URL pattern, what is the class name is configured, it will verify and takes that class name. First step, it will load that servlet class. This is servlet class. It loads the servlet class. Second step, it creates object of the servlet class. This entire flow of execution with the proof, I will show you all the output. Currently, I didn't explain you at the full flow, because to understand full flow, lot of the different, all these programs knowledge is required. That's why I'm just holding. Probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll explain. So tell me, first point, from the browser, when you send request to servlet, the request first come to the web server to servlet container will take the URL pattern, search in the web.xml file. The URL pattern mapped servlet class it will take and search for the servlet class, finally it found. Then what the first step it will do? Load. After loading, then what it is doing? Instantiate. Servlet class is instantiated. And next step, with the servlet object dot, it will call one method called init method. What is the method name? Init method of by passing servlet config object. After that, it will call dot service method. Service method by passing what objects? Request comma response. Okay, just before server is shut down, it is internally calling destroy method. So this entire flow of calling these three methods are called servlet lifecycle methods execution flow. If you remember multi-threading chapter, in multi-threading chapter you have learned thread lifecycle states na. If you are from CSE background, you have operating system. Inside operating system you have process. The process lifecycle states also there na. Like that. Now servlet program is also having life cycle states. What is that? First step, loading. Second step, instantiating. Third step, initializing. Fourth step, executing. Fifth step, destroying. Servlet life cycle will contains totally 5 states. What is that? Loading, instantiating, initializing, executing, destroying. Array, these are the steps for regular standalone program also. Regular standalone program also contain these 5 steps. Regular class, student class, if you want to execute, same thing is happening now. Loading, then instantiating, then initializing, then executing, and then destroying. These 5 steps are same for all classes. But in standalone application, we don't consider all the flow. But in servlet, we have to consider this flow. Okay, I'll come back to the point. Now tell me, when servlet object is created, servlet object required 2 types of values. Number 1, initialization values for initializing servlet object. Number 2, execution values for executing request processing logic. Repeating again, servlet required how many values? 2 values. Number 1, initialization values. Number 2, execution values. Initialization values can be sent by the end user from the browser? No. Servlet, what are the initialization values required? Who can know? Developer will know. Who knows? Developer knows. This developer know what values are required. Clear my point? Next, execution values, who knows? End user knows. So from the end user, we are sending execution values. Backend from the developer, initialization values will come. And tell me, from the end user, inputs are sending along with the request now. That's why the execution values are stored in the request object, and the request object is giving to whom? Service method. Now, initialization values to the servlet is passed from backend developer, and those values are read by the servlet container and pass it to whom now? Init method as a special object called what? Servlet config object. configuration required values. Servlet configuration required values or shortcut is called what? Servlet config values. Everyone tell me how many types of values required to the servlet? Two types. Number one, servlet initialization values. Number two, servlet request processing execution values. Servlet request processing execution values are nothing but inputs are sending from the browser by end user. Servlet initialization values are sent by developer backend in the servlet. Up to now understand? Then if you want to pass the values from the servlet, if you want to pass the values to the servlet as the initialization values, what is the object background servlet container use? Servlet config object. Then how can we tell to the servlet container these are the servlet initialization values or these are the servlet request processing execution values? From the browser, if you pass, they are what? Servlet request processing values. If you want to pass values as initialization values, you have to use web.xml file. What values you have to use? Web.xml file. Web.xml file you have to use. In web.xml file, we have another tag is there called init param. What is the tag name? Init param, param name, param value. Again, param name, param value. How many parameters, how many inputs you want to pass, those many times you have to repeat the tag. Everyone understand? So repeat once again. Where I should specify servlet initialization values in web.xml file. Already we have learned one tag called what? Servlet by servlet. And to mapping the servlet with the URL pattern by servlet mapping by servlet mapping we are learned. Now before the servlet tag or inside the servlet tag, inside servlet tag along with the servlet name, we have one more tag is there called what? Init-param. What the tag name? Init-param. Okay, write down these points. Now I wanted to verify the notes part from the API documentation. How to write? Come on, Servlet 6.1 API documentation and search for what? Servlet config. Now look at them. What is the description? A servlet configuration object used by the servlet container to pass information to servlet during initialization. Right. Servlet config. It is a, you can say simply, it is an object. It is an object used for, it is an object used for passing what values? Servlet initialization values. Passing servlet initialization values. Servlet initialization values. Next point. When servlet object is created, if you want to store some values in servlet object, if we want to store some values in servlet object, if you want to store some servlet, if you want to store some values in servlet object, we must use servlet config object. We must use servlet config object. Next point. Next point. To pass values to servlet config to pass and store values in servlet config object to pass and store values in servlet config object we must specify those values in web.xml file in servlet tag with init hyphen param tag with init hyphen param tag I repeat once again. If we want to pass store in values inside servlet config, we must specify those values in web.xml file in servlet tag in by using init hyphen param tag. Okay, next point. Inside init hyphen param tag, we must use child tags. We must use child tags, param name and param value. We must use child tags, param name, param hyphen name and param hyphen value. Param hyphen name and param hyphen value. Next bullet point. As many inputs we wanted to pass, those many times, again repeating, as many inputs we wanted to pass, those many times we must repeat init hyphen param tag. Those many times we must repeat init hyphen param tag. Init hyphen param tag. Okay, write down this syntax. For example, write down this. Look at here. Param hyphen name contains what? Param 1 and next one value 1. Just it is example I am writing param 2 and next value 2. Okay, write down this much. For example, Completed? Huh? Okay, tell me now. No voice. Arey bhai, once you specify these values and send the request to the servlet, first what is doing? Web server receiving the request, giving to whom now? Servlet container. Now tell me, servlet container first creates servlet object or servlet config object? Use your brain little bit. If it creates servlet object first, dot, it has to call what method? Init method. To call init method, it required servlet config object, na? So first servlet object created, a config object created. Wonderful. Config object is created. Then first servlet config object is created. Servlet config object is created. Servlet container, after creating servlet config object, it is going to servlet init param, take the param name and map the param name with the given value 1. Are you following? Then next again read param2 and map the value value 2. Okay, now after servlet config object is created, reading and storing these values inside the servlet config object, then next step what it will do? It create what? Come on. It create what? Servlet object dot. It is calling what method? Init method, following by what? Config object is passed. Following by the servlet config object is passed. Then control is coming into which method now? Init method. So tell me, servlet interface has 5 methods now. In that, first method is init. The first method is what? Init. But which method we have? We are overriding only service, because our main focus is on what? Request processing logic. Yes, request processing logic completed. Now we are moving to the next part, servlet initialization. Sometimes servlet required inputs to process the request. Sometimes servlet required in. I'm not giving the test. First, I am giving you just some information to you. After you understand it, I will give you test case. That time, how you handle, you have to tell. Okay, now? Repeat once again. Before processing the request, servlet required some inputs, some initialization values. Those initialization values we configured in init-param tag. Init-param tag initialization values are stored in servlet config and create the servlet object and passing this object as an argument to init method. Then init method you must override in your servlet class. Na? Why? You have to read these values. You must read these values from servlet config and store it inside where? Servlet object. Are you following my point? Read the values from the servlet config and store the values inside servlet config. Array, do you remember copy constructor? Copy constructor. What you have written in the copy constructor? You are taking object as a argument, reading xy values e.x, e.y and storing in current object xy values. Remember, init method is like a copy constructor. In place of example class object, what object you are passing? Servlet config object. Read the values from servlet config and store the values inside servlet non-static variables. Understand the flow? Whatever you did in the core Java, same thing you are doing in advanced Java. The only difference is names are different. There you are calling constructor. Here you are calling what? Init method. There you are calling setter method. Here you are calling what? Init method. Your core Java, again repeating. Your core Java setter method is nothing but servlet class init method. Core Java address object to the setter method is nothing but servlet config. Tell me now. After specifying the values in web.xml file, servlet container reading the values, storing in the servlet config, pass it as an argument to init method. Now inside init method, you must write the logic for reading these values now. Come to the point now. Last point. After passing servlet config object to init method, you must read values from this config object in the servlet class. Everyone help me. How did you read values from request object? Request dot get parameter. By passing what? Parameter name. Tell me, these are also parameters only, na? But these are what parameters? Request parameters or config parameters? Inside request object, you have get parameter method by passing parameter name. Similarly, in a servlet config object also, what is the method we have? Get parameter. But I should use request object or config object? Config object. Config dot get parameter of whatever the parameter name you mention here, that parameter name you write here. Then it returns what value? That value is stored in our servlet class non-static variable. Everyone got an architecture? Little difficult. If you don't use your brain, easy. Again repeating, little difficult. If you don't use your brain, easy. If you use your brain, hey, kya ho raha hai? Then custom. Okay, it is difficult. Repeat once again. What values you want? Request values are initialization values are. Initialization values are passed to the service method or init method. Init method. Init method want to receive one value or multiple values? Multiple values. How many multiple values? Sometime one value, sometime two value, sometime 10 values, sometime 100 values. Then tell me, one method wanted to receive multiple values means the multiple parameters I should use a single parameter should receive multiple values. If I take multiple parameters, every time when I'm changing the number of values here, I have to modify the parameters here also. Is it a good idea, bad idea? What is a good idea? Single parameter must receive. Then tell me, which parameter type will receive multiple values? Number one, array. Number two, class object. Number one, array. Number two, class object. Okay. Now tell me, if I want to take array, what type of array? Here values are of same type or different type? Oh, same type. Different type will be there. And next, you are passing the values as what? Name equal to value. Name equal to value pattern. Name equal to value pattern is it array na class object? Class object. Variable name equal to value. Variable name equal to value. What is the pattern? It is class pattern. So that's why what is the parameter type is used for init method? Class type. What the name of the class? Servlet config. Samajh mein aaya na? Servlet config. Okay. Who has to mention the values in the web.xml file? Programmer. Who will create the servlet config? Not I am. Who will create? Servlet container. What the job of servlet container? When request is coming, servlet container creates servlet config object, read the values from the web.xml file, store inside servlet config and pass that object reference as an argument to init method. Then as a developer, what you have to do? Inside init method, by using servlet config object dot get parameter methods, you have to read values and store inside non-static variables available in the servlet class. Samajh mein aaya? Shall I give one example now? Let me see how can you apply these points. You understood, believe me, you understood. Real I'm telling, promise on you. All the people understood. But now it's the time you have to apply your knowledge. This is my servlet program. This is servlet program I have created for developing registration form or registration process. Registration servlet. I have database. Everyone participate. Whatever the knowledge you gain up to now, every point you are going to use now. Not I, you. Who? You. This is user table. This is user table. You have the knowledge, believe you. User ID, username, password. Okay, now? Now, this registration servlet class contains what? Service method. Contains a service method. Whenever a user access my project, I am providing user registration form with username text box, with a password text box, and click on button sign up. He entered username, password, sign up. Then this username and password are giving to whom? Registration servlet. Registration servlet receiving the username and password to whom? Bolo. If you watch silently, it becomes difficult. Receive to whom? Service method. Service method should store that username and password in the table. Okay, na? Arebuji, if you want to store in the table, here, there should be a connection from servlet to database, na? If you want to connect to the database, what are the inputs required to the servlet program? To connect to database, what are the inputs required to the servlet program? JDBC program, Nana. Come on, recollect. Driver name, URL, username, password. Now tell me, these four values are user requesting values or database connection values? Are these database connection values known to the end user or known to the developer? Can developer ask the user, tell me what is the driver name, what is the URL, what is the username of the schema, what the password of the schema, you tell me. Then first I will connect to the database, then I will take your username password to register. Can you ask? No. So tell me now. This driver name, URL, username, and a database username, database password must be passed background to the registration servlet or not? With these four values, I must create a connection object to create the connection to the database or not? And the connection I have to hand over to servlet. Then servlet prepared statement, read this value, set to the prepared statement, execute the prepared statement in the database, URL, username, user ID, username, password is created here. All people got an idea? Everyone, tell me now. Database details are request parameters are servlet initialization parameters are. These servlet initialization parameters I must pass to servlet as request values are servlet config values are. Then these four values I should configure in web HTML form or web.xml file. These four values we have to configure in web.xml file, and we should read the username password of this user from the browser as what values? Request parameters. Understood? Right. So to interact with the database, I require servlet config object for taking these inputs. That's why I have introduced what? Servlet config object. Everyone understood now? Currently, we are not going to read database driver name, URL, username, password. On a dummy program, we are reading to verify whether the values are came into our servlet program or not. That's it. Clear my point? Right. So later, we will develop this complete database application. Right up. Next point. To read servlet initialization values, in a servlet config object, as provided below methods. Oh, can you tell me what is the method name? Tell me, please. What is the method name? Config dot. Hey, I said it, tell ra, not write ra, tumri fellow. What is the method name? Servlet config object dot what? Get what these parameters? Are they request parameters or init parameters? Then what is the method name? Get init parameter. Right on. Get public. First method is what? Public string get init parameter string name. If I don't know the parameter name, the other name is this method not required, just for knowledge sake. Public enumeration. get init parameter names. Tell me, what are the information required? Number one, what are the init servlet initialization values? Second, where we have to specify. Third, how are they coming into the servlet program? Fourth, how we should read them. And fifth, where I should store them. So these are the 5 points. First point completed. What is that? The values required to initialize servlet object is called what? Servlet initialization values. Second point. The servlet initialization values we will specify inside web.xml file in a servlet tag by using init-param tag with the subtags param-name, param-value. Third point, servlet container read these servlet initialization values from web.xml file, store it inside servlet config and pass that object as an argument to init method. Fourth point, inside init method, we can read these configuration values by using its method get init parameter. Fourth, after reading these values, I have two options. Either I can directly use in the init method or store inside class level, servlet class level with the instance variables. Once you store values inside instance variable, I can read those values inside service method also, na? Okay. So now I want you develop a program now. Right? Program number 6. Check how we will complete. Program number 6. Develop a servlet program to read servlet initialization values from web.xml file to read from web.xml file and print them on browser. Print them on browser. Consider student number, student name, course P as servlet initialization values. Just dummy values, okay? HTML file not required. Classes initialization servlet. Writing or watching? Watching. And tell me here, what is the step number 2? Servlet program or web.xml? First web.xml, then servlet program. Create web.xml file with servlet initialization values. Will you help me? Web-app servlet servlet name S6 servlet class after servlet class you should write init hyphen param by init hyphen param name what is the name of the param? SNO 1 not. Good job. Param value, yeah, sorry. Tell me how many times I should write init param tag? How many times? I can't need this application. 4 times. Copy, paste again, param name, S name, HK. Course, full stack Java developer. P 20,000. Okay, hold on. Let me complete. It's time up already. I have to show output. Servlet hyphen mapping. Wait, let me finish. I'll upload later after going to home, copy this code. Anyways, you got idea now. Only checking program is pending. You can do at home. Servlet hyphen name. Next URL hyphen pattern slash is init servlet URL hyphen pattern. Next I'm copying pasting this and changing this project name as six. What the project name we have taken? Let me close all these files. Many files and open D drive. First, this not required, delete. Web-inf, web.xml file, open with edit plus notes.java. Copy this. Web.xml paste. Everything correct? Anywhere mistakes? Servlet name, init param, param name, param value, param name, param. Where? $29. URL pattern, URL hyphen pattern. Line number 4. Where? Package name you should say servlet and here servlet there, here servlet there, here servlet there. Which is servlet? That's what morning I told you. Hand do, head do, no. Properly use mode. In a package name. Okay. Clear. Specific to the point. Everything right? Anywhere mistake? నా ఇంక సైలెంట్ మళ్ళీ ఏం చెప్తే తిడతాడు ఎందుకు వచ్చింది శోభ. So XML file doesn't appear to have any style information with it. The document is shown. You can open web.xml file also by using browser. Then some browsers will validate and tell you if any mistakes are there. Okay, fine. It's no mistake. It's compiled. Then next up, what? Classes. Delete this dot class file. Open. What is the name of servlet class? Paste. Any change here? No. Servlet class name. We have to introduce here public void init of servlet config throws servlet exception. Open bracket, close it bracket. Inside init method, here I have to take private int SNO, private string sname, private string course, private double fee. Okay, 4 fields I have taken, and now I want to initialize those 4 fields. Then what I have to write? SNO equal to integer dot. Why I am writing integer? Come on, guess. Parse int of. When you read the data from the keyboard or file, it will come as config dot get init param. Parameter. Parameter of double quotes. What is the parameter name? SNO. Then next, sname. Remove this. Get parameter name. Sname. Next, any mistake is there? Tell me now. Again, config init parameter of course. Next, p init param config integer place what are right? Double parse double of get init parameter of parse double of p. right? 4 values reading and stored in the instance variables. Then what is our request processing logic? Just reading them and printing. I'm deleting all these things not required. Outer println off. Directly we can write double quotes SNO colon plus SU. We don't have time to adjust all HTML pattern. Course P T. Right? Save it. Then go to command prompt. Compile. Then cd dot jar hyphen cvf init params dot var star. Notes dot also going. Copy C drive Apache web apps paste. Come back bin startup dot open browser. Browser, where are you? What is that? Init params slash is. Okay. Why values are coming in one line? It is a browser. Println method, I have used out.println. This ln will work only on server console, not on browser. On browser, if you want to bring each line to the separate, what do you have to use? /n br. /n will work only for command prompt console. Okay. Here you have to align that br, or you can use the table, 2 columns. Okay. That you can do later. Finally, the values in web.xml file, reading in init method and storing in servlet class, reading in service and printing on browser. So this flow, please try to practice once. So hope we completed the complete knowledge required to develop one basic project, servlet to HTML to servlet to JDBC to database, complete communication purpose. We have completed full flow. If you practice once this program at home today, tomorrow class will be easy. Will you all practice and come? Thank you. That's all for today class.